Prosperity is a function of soul. I want to apologize for the technical difficulties that I've had in the last 3 to 4 weeks. This has been one of my issues, and I want to talk about people who think that all of this stuff that we work with is the easiest. We often have the majority of people thinking this is going to be about my money-making episode, right? This is about money. Prosperity doesn't always work in the field of vision of I need to make a big buck, right? Or the big bucks. This is about feeling like we prosper in our lives. And it is indeed a function of who we are. Am I able to flourish even through the field of vision of I am of struggle? That's when we can prosper. We don't feel the negative effects of life as much as when we are struggled in our minds, or struggling in our minds when we have less than what we need to do what we want. That's where a lot of people are. What do I want versus what do I need? And then people think I need more than what I have. And that creates that vision of I am lacking in the resources to lift me up. Or is it that I'm not as resourceful as I need to be? Many people are using resources very wisely to get them to the place in their minds where they can flourish even through adversity. Even through, it's like others are like the prayer vision. I want to know about the prayer vision. When I pray, I prosper. That's part of it. It can get you there for those of you who are of prayer, or for those of you who say, I struggle with my mindset. So how do I prosper when my mind is telling me I need more? Okay? This is about being grateful for the opportunities that you have to flourish in your hearts in different ways. Prosperity doesn't always mean money, but we understand why that is a necessity for people in this world. And we're not going to give you the airy-fairy, romantic vision of here, let me just feel good and beautiful, and then all comes to me. It does in essence, but it's not always easy. You see, we have lessons to learn as souls. So some of us aren't going to be able to take those lessons of manifesting and just, pop in a video and allow people to, prosper with the vision of let me just chant some chants and there it is. How many people would be millionaires if they were sitting there, all I need to do is pray? We're being told that we don't get to be prosperous because we might be operating out of a vision of avarice or greed. How many people want to know what it's like to know that prosperity is a flourishing from within? It is a soul function, which means it's part of the process of aligning with those who know how to do the work, know how to prosper through the troubling times, right? Or the difficulties that it can show us about where we are. Am I meant to be a rich man is where some people go. Some people will say it's destiny. Destiny is not fluid in the minds of most. And that's the nature of our soul vision. You see, everyone who feels like I am meant to be this way have never ever decided to align with their own soul and then get information handed to them about alternate paths of prosperity. You want to know what that feels like? I know what I'm getting coming to me already. I get my heart handed to me by some who say it feels bad to feel good. That's what Jesus is trying to tell us. When you feel good about who you are, and that you don't have to lay the guilt and blame on yourself or others for feeling like prosperity is a negative. We try to change the mindsets of who we are in order to allow ourselves to rise up in whatever ways we can. Not at the expense of others, right? Some will. That's the nature of soul. Some will say, I will do it at the expense of others. Others are on that higher vision of, let me prosper and share the wealth. That's the nature of what many are saying. I will share my wealth, or I will share my vision. You see, I prosper in guidance. I prosper in the love of my hearts. I get to do that work for a reason. When I look into the world and I honor the vision of how can most of us rise up, others are saying it has to be the all. And in essence, it is. When I prosper, I spread that vision to others. That's the nature of being able to announce my presence. Lord, have mercy is what others are going to say, because they are fearful of feeling loving and caring for their own hearts when others in this community are saying, I am rich in the vision of many. I am rich in the vision of many. And then others are saying, you have too much. Based on whose idea? Who gets to decide what is too much for anyone's soul? And that's what people need to understand. This community that I vibrate in is flourishing in the majority of the cases. So we keep increasing the prosperity here. When I go to other communities, do I allow for myself to invite myself into their communities and invest in their communities? I do, but not at the expense of my own. That's the difference. That's how you utilize your soul. I will lift people up. I will utilize their vision as a learning experiment for most. But will I then sacrifice my own vision in the name of someone else's determination to rise up? You do not rise up at the expense of others. You all have everything you need inside of you to do that work, to do that vision questing. It doesn't have to feel like work. Now, others are saying the magic comes to me when I think about my own soul, or it's like my moments of love. You don't have to be all loving to be prosperous in the field of vision of prayer and servitude. That's another vision. The more I serve, the more I get. It's not always like that. It's part of that vision, though. Who do I serve, and how much of it comes back to me? What are you hoping to receive in return? You see, that's where that idea of, am I desperate for the attention, for the vision, or am I actually wanting to create a beautiful vision of love for all? Because if that happens, then you all have everything you need. But if you're still in the vision of, I'm only going to create with certain souls because they're the ones that make me feel good, then that's another vision. You will align with those who know how to prosper. You will align with those who know how to rise up in the vision of, I'm connecting to my own soul. That's when the meat and potatoes of soul come together. I don't follow any guidelines according to any spiritual paradigm for the most part. And that serves me well. This is a nature of finding out who we are. Does it mean that I don't get advice from my whole soul who is still creating from various fields of vision? You better believe it. And some of those messages are not necessarily the most pleasant, but I align with those visions of, I know how to rise. I know what I need to do. I know how to handle the hearts and minds of many. Will I allow others to step on me in their minds in order to get somewhere else? If you want to rise high, you don't do it at the expense of others. Now, what that is very much of love. This is for those that want to prosper as a function of soul, which means we would be aligning with our souls. And if you feel like you need to do that vision, then that's up to you. And you may, in fact, get your soul handed to you in that way and say, yes, I get to be, the richest of the rich, right? How many queens and kings of England want to come through and talk about their vision of, I was flourishing in my mind, but my soul was screaming at me to let go of that kind of vision. I'm here to do the work that needs to be done for many. All people will not reside in the vision of love of all, and that is why soul embodiment and the vision of prayer is still on the table for some who are in this vision of love. We want to talk about the nature of how you pray and what you pray for. It's all honored. Your souls love it. What they do, though, is they say she is obviously feeling neglected and not exactly wanting to be a professional, right? How many people are saying you must be a certain way in order to attract those who prosper, right? I have this perception in my mind about who can give me the right guidance. Do I paint a pretty picture for you, or do I give you the reality of the work in which you are vibrating in? That's the nature of soul vision. Jesus Christ Almighty is another vision. It's because I have souls around me who are still in the vision of that one needing to be there for them in order to actually get what? Is that one going to grant you everything and more? Or is it I need to be saved from somebody or something when I cross over into another field of vision? He's aligned with this vision finally in his mind as I am of love of all, but it took me hatred in order to see it. That's the nature of what people say. They will assume that no one who came here as a soul on the instant vision is going to believe that there was it's like any other vision other than love. Love does not trump all, is what many are saying. Okay? That's that vision of aligning with those who know how to see that there are souls who will not agree with their vision, but they still say, I can see you as a soul. I honor you as a soul. I don't agree with you, nor will I let you take me down. That's the nature of what a lot of people are trying to do versus the alignment within your own soul of what gets me to where I need to go. And that's the heart. Your hearts are connected to everybody, to all souls. But what you don't realize is your minds are your best and worst weapons, right? But we get out of the nature of a weapon because it's like it sets us up for this nature of I got to fight for my right to be seen, heard, explored, and others would say taunting, right? I get taunted sometimes by certain souls because they want to see me rise up into a mindset of, fiery flames, the phoenix, rebirthing itself. That can be a beautiful vision of rebirth. It can be hell. It's like hellfire for some because it means that you don't need to go through that process of dark night of the soul in order to be rebirthed. It doesn't have to be painful. It doesn't have to be, in alignment with anyone else other than your own soul. It's a personal process of discovery. And for souls who say prosperity is at your feet, let me give it to you. Let me show you the way. Let me tell you how to do the work that needs to be done. Sometimes, some of us have to go through a learning experience of denial of our friends' visions or our family who are also there cheering us on all the time, correct? Or are they fearful for us? This is where Brenda had to go. I'm fearful for you because you're not rich yet, or you're not making the money yet. In her heart of hearts, she knows I fly high with my soul. I plant the seeds of love for many. I plant the seeds of love for myself first. And that's the nature where many are starting to go. It's not about just self-love, but it is about opening your heart to who do I align with and why am I there? Is this a shortcut to riches? Is where so many people in the spiritual enlightenment are going. I'm going to manifest my way to a healthier way of being, right? Do you want to know what it's like to know that you are connecting to your own soul's vision, who then allows for that vision of Goldie Hawn to come through again? She's vibrating in the beauty of who she is. She aligns with all souls in her heart. She says, I have the vision of love for my family and my friends. And I know that even in those moments of despair, or it's like integrity, that those souls, even if they had those visions of negativity in their minds, we know in our hearts that those would not be intended to bring us to a point of surrender. We must surrender to the idea that not everyone loves who we are in their minds. We must surrender to the idea that our friends and family don't always have it all figured out, or our own best interest at heart. Many people are working with this idea that just because you have family and friends who align with you, that somehow they want you to succeed in the mindset. It's a subconscious vision of whose needs are getting met first. That's where you have to align with your own soul and realize that I love who I am. I love my family, particularly for those who are saying I don't. And then you say, I understand you have an issue with who I am on a subconscious vision that's being projected out into the universe, whether it is jealousy, feelings of lack compared to who I am, or wonder at the magic that I can create with you. See, that's the difference. Once you start to create the magic with your friends and family, then you can expand that vision outwardly into other fields of interest. And that's the nature of it. Some people will say, these souls are not planting seeds for me. That's okay. Don't water those seeds. That's the nature. You let those seeds go. You don't take on the vision of my family are the ones that are going to lift me up in the afterlife either. Everyone assumes that we are here to do the work. There are other soul visions coming through saying, I don't just align on the realms of friends and family. We are indeed souls creating together, but not all of us will make it to the same level as Brenda. That's the nature of where she goes. I know I vibrate out of religion. There is one vision of religion that I definitely understand, and that's the Christian mindset of love for all souls. What I assume is that those visions are going to continue to build in the additional relationships that they create. What I would say is that when my own vision of prosperity is saying that a lot of those visions of greed and misfortune do not serve people well, because what it does is it sends people the message that they are bad for having feelings of desire or want. This is also a spiritual paradigm that is saying, I don't have to desire it, it is known. This is Soul Embodiment 101. You embody your soul knows what you want. Your soul goes to bat for who you are and not for everybody else. That's the nature of why most people wonder, how in the world was Jesus able to do what he needed to do? He was in alignment with those highest highs in his mind, and he kept building from it. And that's the nature of what we do. We align with those of high. And that means that those souls who keep trying to tear you down in your mind, you let go, right? Or you can say, I love you and I understand that you don't understand the process that I'm creating with. Many females are being taken down in the mindsets of males, those who are self-identified. It's vice versa as well. But we have a system in place in which the male mindset has been dominating for thousands of years. And it is portrayed as such in those books. Those who are in the know understand that it is not meant to be a demeaning vision, but by golly, it did. And that's why those visions are going to be coming to an end in the near future, believe it or not. And many are going to want to see what that soul does when he comes back, because it's not the name of Jesus that's going to scare them. It's the name of, it's like the menagerie of soul. This is going to be a different field of vision for those who want to understand why certain faiths are causing more issues than what they are lifting others up. It's an honest assessment of those who will know what those honest to goodness lessons are that actually create beauty for them, versus those who are saying we utilize it to hold other people back. We don't want people to know who they really are. We want them to aim high. That's beautiful. Do we then tell them they are bad? That's another problem we've got. If someone is telling you there is something wrong with you or there's something bad about you, inherently, you have got to see the truth behind that word, right? People will say, oh, it is. I am not free and clear from the vision of my body as my prison. Well, what do you think happens if you start creating from the idea that there is something wrong with who you are as a soul coming into this experience to learn the joys and the pains of what it's like to be in form? Okay, so those ideas of spiritual mindset are often the most harmful for many as well. Okay, there are those souls that have risen to other levels of enlightenment, but by golly, we don't need to be going anywhere else other than the beauty of who we are here. The prosperity that we seek is an internal joy of creating beauty for everybody. Okay, many people will get there in various ways. Come the future, right? Brenda brings the future to you. It's not a joyful vision, but she gets hers handed to her with joyful moments mixed in with those, oh, this isn't so pleasant. She gets to experience it's like the undulating vision of joy. It's always on the surface. She never knows when joyful visions are going to come through, because people know that in her vision, she can reach various vibrations, and prosperity is just around the corner. I know how to handle the souls that don't believe me about the third Christ. I understand that. It's not what most people think it is. That's what's going to happen. Most people are reveling in the vision of destruction with that vision. Others are going to say it's about me going home. No, this is about you figuring out you actually should have been going in the whole time and combining with your own soul. That's the intuitive vision. And when you go to those places of prayer or worship of another, you're missing out on it's like the lessons of love for your own soul. You want to go to your own soul first, as much as possible. If you're able to, see, most people don't realize they're putting themselves back in this vision of past of I'm in the slave state and I needed someone to look to sit there and lift me up. How many people need that vision of I need to get out of a slave state? How many people can't cherish the vision of where they are and build upon where they are? I'm grateful for the vision of love that I'm showing myself in this moment. I'm perfectly content with who I am. That's what you're going to create at some point, and then you don't rise. I'm content. That's a good place. And then you say, I'm no longer content. Where do I need to go? You see, people are getting that idea of like, well, now I'm worried about my vision of lack. No, your soul knows where you need to go. We have destinies awaiting us. So if someone else's words don't ring true, then that is where you would say, that's not for me. And that's where that idea of self-actualization is it's like the nexus to the next generation. They will all be working on their own souls. We always do. But this idea of, oh, I need to go outside of myself and, figure out what someone else wants me to be. It's not somebody else. Your own soul is you from various planes of development. And the realms of love that you cherish are the ones that will come to you. So this is not a degrading of anyone's faith or spiritual alignment. It's the reality of where you are. Which part of my soul do I want to embody next? Brenda's already on the vision of INFJ as an enlightened vision, or the empath vision from a place of vibration and the actuality of it versus the victim mindset of it, and the vision of I have to guard myself against any other soul. That's the ticket in. That's the way to prosperity. That's the way to understanding. It's not about doing whatever I say you do. It's about your soul's vision of what you need to do. So prosperity as a function of soul means every one of us has that option to prosper depending on who's on the camera in this moment. Do you want to prosper as a soul? Because you're a soul. You're embodying your own visions of love. There's nothing wrong with anybody wherever they are. That is true. That is a given. That is understood. What hasn't been understood is why can't I succeed in the vision of love of self and aim higher and raise myself to a higher vibration where I'm able to hear my own soul? Not everyone is here to do that work because it is not always pleasant, depending on where you are in your own mindset. Sometimes people are just here to, freely create, and it's like they build the beauty of who they are in various states and forms. I'm here to do destruction is where some people are because they're here planting the seeds for things that need to be destroyed so that we can bring in the new. It's all there. It's not new in its creative ability, but it is because we continue to create different forms of destruction. COVID was our warning signal. Okay? Others will say it was a fantasy work by many. Baloney. It's the process of all because it hit the global level. You cannot deny it. There is no against anybody in that vision. It was a creative process. Masters know what needs to be done in this world vision, global vision, to get people to go in and start looking at what is or isn't valuable and or important in their lives. And those who deny the vision of my loved one is sick, this is another vision. Believe it or not, I am not sick. I had 3 people around me with the disease, right? It's a virus. It's not a disease. And I myself am not able to keep it off, right? If my vibration is not there. So my soul gives me the feeling of me getting COVID. And then I vibrate out of it very fast. That's the strength of soul. I know what I know. I know how to do your work. Do I do your work is up to you, right? It's up to both of us. I create with love of all. I create with the vision of soul embodiment first and foremost. And that's where my creative structure of soul comes in and says, I'm always expecting the beauty to come, but I have to take those steps that gets me on the right path. And that's the ever-expanding nature of who we are as soul. What path am I taking? Maybe I'm utilizing the wrong tools to get me there. Maybe I'm supposed to be bringing in people who can align with the vision of life as a journey of love of self first. We all love ourselves, but whether or not we can make that transition to I love others as if they were me, that's a hard one for most to hit. It is literally a butt kicker for the majority of people on the planet. And that's why that Jesus soul says he knows what it is. He knows how to do it, and he did it. And he said it wasn't easy. His vision is still creating with the vision of a younger soul here who has now been embodied with his vision and his wisdom. And that wisdom will come forth in the next, it's 3 decades is what she's being told. So be prepared for those changes to start happening. This is why you see it. Don't revel in the destruction. It doesn't have to be a destructive vision as much as it is a shift in the consciousness of the planet. There will be destruction because those who resist the changes will create the havoc in their minds about, why can't I be like him? It's not about being like him. It's about being you, as you, and then you flourish in the vision of you. Okay, too many people are trying to be like other people, right? Because we see them and we say, you're beautiful, I want to be like you. Well, what about you? Are you saying is not beautiful, right? That's that journey of inner discovery that we're talking about. That's where that prosperity comes in. I can't ask for anything more other than the love of my soul, right? Well, sure, I can ask. I don't. It's an inner knowing that no one else can understand. The idea that I'm worthy of all, that's the nature of this one. I am worthy. You just don't know me yet. That's all. We are all worthy. We just are not known for who we are, right? Many of us are putting on those facial masks in essence to cover up the visions of, I was told I was not of love, or I was told I was not worthy. You are all worthy of the love, adoration, and honor of not only your own souls, but all souls. And when you hit those visions, all souls come to you and say, I love you. I love you. I love you. Because that's what they themselves would say to them and to you. Okay, so it's an honoring of all of our hearts. Now, for those of you who thought the channeling was going to be more about a celebrity, Jesus Christ is not good enough for men. He's being held back by men in many ways. His vision is of strength, but he said not at it's like the discourse vision with females needs to be addressed in the books. It is not allowing of the flourishing of the females, which is who I indeed aligned with. How many people see the words of wisdom and say those are in contradiction to the actual teachings that he would have brought through had he been able to do so in a way that was actually of permanence. So those visions will indeed rise into the nations of, well, Islam as well. The violence and destruction are needed at certain times and places in order for people to see what that vision does for us. Others aren't going to like it. It's going to be a strong prospect. It's like the prospector. That's those souls that know how to do the vision of she knows how to bring through. Those souls that will tell you, be prepared. Do your work now. This is the time of inner discovery, inner love, inner wisdom, inner peace, inner joy. And then when you find it, you rise in it and you can be caretaken by your own soul's vision, and you don't have to be afraid of anybody. You don't have to be afraid of the revenge of other souls or of whatever vision that might come into those visions. You rise. And that's where that vision of creating with those souls who say, I'm here to make a change. That's another vision. Change is beautiful for all of us, but what you're changing into is something that others may or may not want to be. And that's why your own soul will let you know what it is you're here to be, right? It's one path of one self, that's all. And those other souls that come in, if they love you, they will say, I do. It's like, I do, right? But the vision of it is, let's say adieu. So it's time to wrap up. It's time to be peaceful in our minds. It's time to wrap our hearts in our soul vision and say thank you so much for watching. Enjoy your visions of prosperity. Please watch out for posts that are going to encourage your own hearts to go within and ask yourself the question that needs to be asked. Am I prosperous in my soul, or am I wishing on a star? They both give us the same result. I love who I am, and I know that there's something out there for me to bring to my heart. That's all. So take care and have a wonderful, wonderful day.